Imagine waking up one morning and realizing the world finally caught up to the future you saw years ago. Back when Iraq's stock market was quiet, overlooked, and trading for pennies on the dollar, you bought shares most investors ignored. Banks, telecoms, financial services companies, names no one cared about at the time except you. You remember logging into your ISX account back then, seeing millions of shares priced so low they barely looked real. Fractions of a penny, numbers that seemed meaningless to everyone but you. Because something in your spirit whispered, hold on, Iraq is going to rise. And then one morning, it happens. Iraq completes its full reform cycle. Private banks hit global compliance. The central bank modernizes the financial system. ISO 2022 integration becomes active. Foreign capital enters. The ISX modernizes and expands. And suddenly, those forgotten shares begin rewriting your life. Your shares go from 0.001 USD per share to $10, $30, $100, $500 per share. Not wishful thinking, a real valuation in your real portfolio. You don't just see profit, you see a new identity forming, a new version of yourself emerging in real time. And here's where the story shifts. You sell a portion, not all of it, just enough to feel what billionaire liquidity truly feels like. And just like that, you're wiring billions from Iraq into US banks. Now those billionaire privileges begin activating instantly. Banks that once judged you by your income now judge you by your influence. Banks that once denied you suddenly adjust their posture. Banks that once made you wait now rearrange their day around your arrival. You walk into a bank expecting the usual process, but a branch manager rushes toward you. Then someone from corporate walks out of a side office. Then a private banker introduces themselves, not from authority, but from urgency. And you start to realize something. As a billionaire, you don't ask for privileges. They're assumed. You mention needing credit access, and they don't ask for financial statements. They say, do you want a custom credit line with no preset limit or unsecured facilities in the tens of millions? They're ready to design underwriting around your word, not your documents. You mention frequent transfers, and they say, we'll assign you a private banker with a 24-hour direct line and a support team behind them so you never wait again. You mention deposit options, and suddenly banks begin competing for you. Higher interest here, lower fees there, exclusive investment opportunities they don't show the public. If Chase offers something, another bank whispers, we can beat it. You mention fees, and they say, all waived, permanently. You ask about international transfers, and they reply, we'll give you faster anti-fraud clearing, custom verification, and a private channel that bypasses standard flags. You mention flexible credit terms, and they say, we'll create you a private risk rating, separate from your credit score, that gives you higher limits, faster approvals, and policy exemptions. You consider diversifying investments, and they say, we can build structured investment vehicles only for you, or give you access to private deals before the public ever sees them. A branch manager hesitates about something small, and you say, I'd like to speak to someone higher. Minutes later, a regional VP is on the line. You ask about security, and they say, we'll give you biometric access, hidden accounts, private routing numbers, vault storage, and instant fraud reversal. You mention long-term plans, and they say, we'll assign attorneys, tax planners, compliance officers, and strategists to your personal team. You casually mention your family, and they say, all your privileges can be extended to them. And then you say, I don't want any transaction declined or held. They reply, we'll rewrite your profile immediately. At some point, you step back and realize, all of this began because you believed in Iraq before the world did. You remember the banks that once denied you. You remember the institutions that doubted the ISX. You remember when no one understood your vision. And now you have the rarest power possible, the power to choose who deserves to hold your capital. Imagine the strength of that moment, directing billions like you once directed hundreds. Imagine knowing the reforms you believed in didn't just create wealth, they created sovereignty. Before we close, here's your fast recap. Iraq's early ISX investors could one day experience financial outcomes the world never expected. Transferring billions to U.S. banks activates hidden tiers of service most clients never see. and a rise from 0.001 per share to hundreds per share becomes a financial metamorphosis built on timing, belief, and Iraq's modernization. If this story painted a clearer picture of what early investors may witness when Iraq's reforms fully mature, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And tell me in the comments, if you became a billionaire through the ISX, which US bank would you trust with your wealth? And which one would you never touch again? This is Amira Blake, and I'll see you in the next briefing. And remember, this is not financial advice, just a vision of what might be possible when a nation reforms and an investor believes early enough to catch the rise.